Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is I, Adisa, the Alpha Empath, and I'm about to get radically transparent with you guys this morning. So, if you are watching my content, I need you to go ahead and say hello to me. If you're not watching it live, I need you to go ahead and hit replay. And last but not least, if you like the content that I'm sharing, then go ahead and share me. Now, as I said, I'm about to get radically transparent with you guys, and I tell you, one of the hardest things about being an authentic life coach, being an authentic spiritual guide, being a spiritual surgeon is the first person that you have to operate on is always yourself. The first person that you always have to heal is always yourself. The first person that you need to be authentic for is always yourself. And I'm gonna be honest with you. Sometimes you go down into the depths of your soul and you pull out a truth that you were not really prepared to really accept. And today I'm going to be talking about the trauma of motherhood. Now, this is going to be an unpopular. Oh no, people ain't gonna like what I have to say on this one, but it needs to be said because I know that there is some mother, there is some father out there that needs to hear this. So I'm going to bare my soul and allow you to see my own darkness, my own pain. So hopefully it can help you heal yours. Okay. So when I was 15, I got pregnant with my first son. I got pregnant with my first son at the age of 15. Now, let me tell you the circumstances that caused me to create, because what we're going to be talking about is what happens when you create when you're in a state of chaos. I am telling you, people, learn from wisdom. When you are hurting and you choose to create and you try to build from your place of pain, you're going to end up hurting yourself and then hurting that which you created. And if you are a parent, you especially need to hear this. You really need to hear this. I'm going to call you back, Shantae. That was my sister. I need to call her back. But anyway, you need to especially hear this. So I was 15 and my mother, and I love my mother, will forever love my mother, but my mother tends to repeat generational cycles. And at this time, she was allowing her ex-husband back into her home that we had separated from him. So we were finally on our own and they were trying to get back together or something like that. So she was allowing this man into our home right around my 15th birthday. So I was like 14, just turning 15, something like that. Now, my problem with this man coming back into our home is simply because their marriage had been extremely abusive. And I'm not talking about a little wrestling. No, no, no. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about gunshot wounds. I'm talking about a hammer, him taking a hammer and hitting her in the skull, and her having part of her skull cracked. I'm talking about that type of trauma. I'm talking about blood everywhere, being evicted from homes and mortgages because the fighting was so violent. That's the type of trauma that I grew up in. So when she allowed this man to come back into our lives, the first person that I was concerned about was her safety. And I forgot my own. You see, as an empath, we tend to forget our own pain and try to focus and help heal somebody else's. But not only was she bringing a predator into our home that could hurt her, she was also bringing in a man into our home that had hurt me, a man that had molested me, a man that had beat me when I tried to hurt her. She was bringing this predator into our home. And I didn't know what to do. So what I did is I ended up calling a man, a young man. He was 20, I was 15. I called a young man and I said, hey, listen, and he liked me. And I said, hey, listen, I cannot be in this home. I'm so furious with my mother for allowing this bullshit back into our lives. And I can't even talk to her. I can't even talk to her. And I just can't be in this home tonight. And he told me, don't even worry about it. I'll rent us a motel room. I'll rent us a motel room and you can stay there for a week with me. And I'll make sure everything's okay. Well, you already know what the fuck happened. You already fucking know what happened. This was the first time I had consensual sex and I enjoyed it. It wasn't all that good sexually, but I enjoyed it because he was tender. So I got pregnant with my son the first time I ever decided to have consensual sex with a man. The first time ever I got pregnant. And I knew that I had gotten pregnant because I didn't have sex again for 4 months. And then 4 months later, I find out that I am pregnant. Now, here is my truth. I was in a state of chaos. So here I am, 15 years of age, and I have no idea how I'm going to take care of this child. My mother has not really figured out how to take care of herself. So I realized that I'm going to be a burden, and this extra baby is going to be a burden as well. So I had some choices. My choices were either get rid of the child and abort the child or keep the child. Well, if you grew up like I grew up, which was kind of religious, abortion is not a choice for you. Because even if you understand that you are not at the point to take care of this child financially, emotionally, mentally, or spiritually, you don't have the choice for abortion, because if you choose that, then there is a burden of guilt that you feel. And for me at that time, that burden of guilt would have been too much. My father is a pastor. I had already gotten pregnant out of wedlock. And then I was actually thinking about aborting this child. And I went to his father and I said, this is what I am thinking. And he said, you know what? It doesn't really matter which you do, either which way. If you get an abortion, I'm fine. If you don't get an abortion, I'm fine. Well, when he said that he was fine, I thought that that meant that we would be a family and he would be around me consistently to help raise our child. But that was not the case, because he was broken and hurt as well. So he couldn't show up consistently for me because he was not consistent for himself. So then I had to make a harder choice. I said, I have to show consistency for a child that I'm not even for sure that I even want. And I'm going to be real with you guys. It came to me just recently because this is my truth. I did not enjoy motherhood. Nope, I didn't enjoy it. I had a child at 15 that I was ill prepared to take care of, and it was my own choice. And then I had another child at 19 that I didn't even want. In fact, I was on birth control because I had learned a lesson. I had learned to stop having unprotected sex, because you can get pregnant. So I was on birth control. And I got pregnant not from consensual sex, but from emotionally manipulative sex. I didn't even want to have sex. I needed a place to live. So I knew in order to keep living at that place, I needed to have sex with that man in order to do that. But I thought I was using wisdom. I was on birth control, but I still got pregnant. So now I ended up with two children that I didn't know how to take care of. I was still inconsistent for myself. I was still emotionally unavailable for myself, but I had two mouths to feed and two new spirits that had spiritual needs, emotional needs, mental needs, and physical needs. And I was a hot fucking mess. And I didn't know how to love them completely because I hadn't figured out how to love myself completely. Hell, I come from a line of women and men that have never figured out what wholesome self-love looked like. So I had to do the best I could. And a lot of women go through these things, but they can't talk about it, because if you say that you have an abortion, that's something that's seen as shameful. Or if you say that, yes, I'm having these children, but I didn't really want them, that's seen as shameful as well. And I'm going to be honest with you. I just got tired of feeling like I had to submit and surrender to a lie that was not true. Motherhood was hell for me. It was complete and utter hell. And I'm going to be honest with you. It was more filled with shit that overwhelmed me than it was filled with joy. And I know we're supposed to get on Facebook. I know that we're supposed to get on social media on Mother's Day and just act like being a mother is the greatest gift in the fucking world and our children are the greatest gift on the fucking planet. Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. It was not like that for me. And I don't want to speak that lie anymore. I don't want to speak that lie anymore. I have decided that I am using my spiritual consciousness to have mercy and have grace on my humanity. And that is something as an empath, we find it very fucking hard to do. We can have grace and mercy on everybody else except us. And it's toxic. It really is. It's toxic. And if you are a woman listening to this and you're understanding what I'm saying, maybe my truth is your truth too. And you did not have a voice to speak it because women can't really speak that. And men can't really speak it either. But men do something different. Men say, okay, I don't really enjoy this creation, so I'm going to allow the woman to take care of this creation, and I'm going to go about my business. But some men don't do that. They say, I'm going to sit up here and be responsible for this creation that I didn't really want to create, that I'm ill equipped to actually take care of, but I'm going to do the best that I fucking can. And those men don't get thanked either. They don't. They end up causing a woman to get pregnant that there's really no wholesome love in. They just had some momentary love, and it wasn't something to sustain that relationship, but they end up being obligated to something that actually is devastating for their soul. And the same thing happens to women. The same thing happens to women. And being a single mom is hell. It is hell. It ain't heaven. And I'm sick of the lies talking about like women need to be happy with that. We should be so gracious and so happy that's what we're dealing with. And it's complete bullshit. It is complete bullshit. And I'm probably going to be talked about this, but whatever. I don't care. There is somebody that needs to hear this. And I'm telling you that if you were like me, I'm asking you to have mercy on yourself. Have mercy on yourself. And yes, you are going to end up hurting your children. And I know that you're going to try to do your best not to, but you are, because you cannot create wholeness from something that is broken. And children want wholeness. That's what they want. That's the fucking dream. They want you to be 100% there for them emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and physically. But if you are not whole, you're not going to be able to do that. And there is going to be some consequences. And you're going to have to look and see those consequences reflected in your children's eyes. And it's going to hurt you. And it should hurt, because women have to learn how to create in wisdom. And when I say women, I mean more so feminine energy, because men have feminine energy too, and they will create out of their need. I need companionship. I need sex. I have this desire because there is something in me that is lacking. So let me try to fulfill it with the relationship, and let me get pregnant, or let her accidentally get pregnant, because I'm not trying to prevent it. I'm not trying to prevent it. So therefore, I am trying to create it, but I'm not consciously creating it. And then you end up with a child that you are expected to have this deep, deep bond with. And if you are one of those parents that lucked up and you ended up having this deep, fulfilling parenting relationship with your child, kudos to you. But this is for the people that were more so like me. It took me some years to finally understand how to be a wise mother. It took me 30 something years. I'll be honest with you. But the next time, in fact, I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't like motherhood so much that I created a brain tumor right on my pituitary gland that prohibited me from ovulating. I could not release any eggs at all. I did not want to get pregnant. Now, at the time, I didn't know that, because I didn't want to recognize my truth. I didn't want to recognize my truth. I didn't want to recognize the fact that motherhood had been fucking traumatic for me. And not only was it traumatic for me, it was traumatic for my goddamn children. And I showed up and I gave them everything that I could financially. I protected them mentally by giving them structure that I could not give them, but I still fell short, because I fell short. Like the scripture said, we have all fallen short of the glory of divinity. And I hadn't learned how to create from my divine self. But thankfully, those heart-wrenching, heart-gushing lessons, when I saw my own pain reflected in the eyes of my children, it caused me to wisen the fuck up. And if you are a woman that is listening to this, thinking that you can get pregnant to keep a family or to keep a man, I'm asking you not to do it. Please don't do it. Don't do it, because you are going to start creating generational trauma. That is what you're going to do. We all create generational trauma when we create from a point of brokenness. Try not to, at all costs, if you can, try not to create when you're in chaos. And when you see a woman that is in chaos and she says, hey, I don't know if I can do this. She needs some help to get her an abortion, go ahead and do it. Now, I know that's being banned every goddamn well. I understand that. But if there's any way you can help her, please do so. Please do so. Do that. Now, let's talk about when I learned to create in wisdom. When I learned to create in wisdom, I recognized that it is easier to love the child of a man that you thoroughly love. It's much, much easier. It's harder to love the child of a man that you can't stand. It just is. Now, and this is humanity. I'm not talking about, this is not divinity. And I didn't have that. I'm being real with you and I'm being real with myself. I had a child by a man that I absolutely did not like. And it was very hard to love her emotionally. It was not hard to love her financially. It was not hard to love her physically. It was not hard to love her mentally. It was hard to love her emotionally, and it was hard to love her spiritually. Very, very hard. I couldn't figure out how to do it. I could not figure out how to do it because when I looked at her and when I saw her mannerisms and when I saw her ways of being, I saw him. I saw my enemy. And I know that these constructs teach you can't say that. As a woman, as a mother, I can't say that because I have to be clear about what that's doing to the child. And I know what it's doing to the child. So I did what most women do. I tried not to say nothing about it, but she still felt it. She still felt it. You are not going to be able to take shortcuts. If you creating chaos, that karma is going to tap your ass. It is. Believe me, it is. So I created a brain tumor. So I could not have children. And I didn't have children for 17 years until the desire for me to have a child became more so than the fear of having one. When I had my son Joaquin, I fought to have him. I fought to have him. I did everything I could. And Spirit said, do a fast. And I did. I did a dry fast, followed by a water fast, followed by a juice fast. But I did those things to get rid of a brain tumor, not even understanding that getting rid of a brain tumor was the path that it would take for me to finally have my heart's desire, which was to have a child that I could love wholesomely. But I had finally qualified to be the kind of mother that could love wholesomely. I haven't always been that. I haven't. And it hurts. It's hurt my children. It's hurt me. It's caused me to live with guilt for almost 30 years. So much guilt. And I had to rise in my spiritual consciousness and forgive myself. That's what I had to do. I had to forgive myself. And forgiving yourself for the wounds that you cause your children when you are at an unconscious state, it's been very hard for me. And my children, bless their little souls, they know how to get me. If I make them mad, that's the button that they hit. Pow! Punch me dead in the fucking gut. And the reason why that worked is because I never forgave myself. Ladies, if you have a child that you were not able to love completely because you had not figured out how to love yourself completely, forgive yourself. So the next creation that you bring, because you are a portal. Anybody that has a fucking vagina is a portal. And you have forgiveness is mandatory for you. It is mandatory. You can't be in guilt because when you are a portal and you stay in that consciousness of guilt, you bring in new souls that have more trauma or more karma to go ahead and work out. What I'm asking you empathic ladies to do is to make your portal, make your vagina, I know that sounds crazy, but make your vagina a high vibrating portal that highly conscious spirits can be guided through. That is the way you end up with a star seed. That is the way you end up with a rainbow child. That is the way you end up with your Messiah baby. That is how. It really is that fucking simple. Now, let me see if I have some comments over here. Maybe somebody has a question for me over here. Good morning, Elizabeth. Good morning, good morning, good morning. That's Elizabeth. Good morning, Mimi. Nice to see you. I don't know who this is, but hello to you. I don't know who this is either, but hello to you as well. So now let me talk to you about when I decided to finally create from a point of consciousness. I knew what my heart's desires were. And you're not going to know what your heart's desires are until you sit your ass down and figure out who the hell you are. You got to do that. And I knew that there was some energetic pattern in me. There was something in me that had a lot of love to give and had a lot of nourishment and nurturing to give, and had a lot of guidance to give someone. I prayed to be able to get pregnant with another child, not because I was trying to keep a man. Ain't had shit to do with that. I wanted to be a mother because I wanted to be a mother. It didn't matter if I was married or single. It didn't even fucking matter. I wanted to give this wisdom that I had finally gained. I wanted to be able to pour that into somebody else. And then I was gifted with the pregnancy of my son, Yakin. Now I know that you're thinking, but what about the other two children? I loved them with as much love as I could love them when they were coming in. Now, here's the other thing that you have to understand so you'll forgive yourself, empath. We are all spirits. We are all spirits. And when your children incarnate here on this planet, they know what condition your soul is in before they decide to incarnate. But the condition of your soul, whether it be broken, fragmented, or whole, if they choose to be come through your portal, it's because they needed that vibration. They needed that vibration. So when you have these children in brokenness, it's because your brokenness is going to actually help them learn a sacred lesson that they need to learn, whatever it may be. Or maybe they will come in and start breaking that pattern, which would be phenomenal if they do. It will be phenomenal. But when I was able to birth Yakin, when I was able to birth him, it was joy. It was joy. And I finally got to experience the joys of motherhood. You know, all the things that people put on social media about hanging little pictures on their refrigerator walls because they child drew that. I ain't did none of that. I ain't did none of that for my first two children. It is a goddamn shame. It really, really is. I mean, I might have some few things or something like that, but I really didn't enjoy the macaroni necklaces. I know y'all say I should have, but this is what happens when a kid has a kid. I didn't fucking enjoy that shit. I was 15 years of age. I didn't fucking enjoy it. But when a parent that is stable within themselves has a child and they're whole, I enjoy that shit now. I have Yakin's artwork in my home hanging up all over the place. Yeah, it's hideous, but I love it because I'm finally getting to enjoy being a mother. And I thoroughly enjoy it. It was always in me. I just created before I was ready to create, if that makes sense. Well, that's my radical truth for today. I don't know if this is going to help anybody at all, but I felt like I needed to share it. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.